7 o'clock. Call the meeting to order, please. Agenda item 2.1. Adoption of the agenda for the June 14, 2016 regular meeting of council. Moved by Councillor Torgerson and seconded by Councillor Blanchette that we adopt the agenda. Are there any additions? Amendments?
Yes, Your Worship, there was the request from the Legion, the letter which the council members should have in front of them.
Okay.
So there was a request to add that to the agenda, so...
Any further amendments? Hearing none. All in favor? Carried. Agenda item 3.1, adoption of the minutes of the May 24th, 2016 regular meeting of council. Motion, Councillor Blanchette and Councillor Torgerson. Are there any errors or omissions? Councillor Torgerson.
Your Worship, there's in the regular council May 24th, 2016 minutes, there is no call to order. I understand that it's a 7 o'clock meeting, but it's still not documented.
Okay.
And I feel that the resolution numbers are still out of sequence.
Okay.
I think that was Brennan, but that's okay.
Oh, sorry, Brennan. You know, you got Mark on this side and Mark on that side, and we forget which Mark you're talking to.
It's okay.
Yeah, that's all right. Mr. Brennan, okay.
No, I'll double check the number, thank you, and also the call to order should be in there, so we'll make those amendments, thank you.
Okay.
I didn't notice anything else.
Notice nothing else? Nothing? Okay. All in favor then of receipt or adoption? Carried. Agenda item 3.2, that council adopts the minutes of the May 31st, 2016 special meeting of council. Okay, Torgerson and Salt. Any errors or omissions? Councillor Torgerson?
The same, Your Worship. The adoption of the agenda in the special council meeting begins with resolution number 4. I think we've had more than 4 resolutions since the beginning of the year in a special meeting of council. And there is no call to order.
And no call to order. Okay, so that will be corrected.
It will be corrected.
Mr. Brennan, okay, that'll be corrected, as noted. Anything further? Hearing none, all in favor? Carried. Agenda item 4.1, delegations. We have, is it Triple M or MMM group?
MMM.
MMM, okay. Transport Canada's grading crossing regulations.
Yes, we have on Skype, we have
Okay.
engineer with MMM Group, Floris Van Wieldren, who wants to walk us through for 5 or 10 minutes a one-page flow chart with respect to the change in regulations on grade crossings and reporting on safety under the Rail Act in Canada, dating back to 2014. And he's going to go through that so that the council has a clear understanding of how the areas of responsibility and reporting under the Act have changed.
Okay,
So
thank you. Welcome.
Thank you, Your Worship, members of council. My name is Floris Van Wieldren. I'm a professional traffic operation engineer here in Vancouver, British Columbia. Long way away from Valemount, but I hope to have another chance to visit your community for some kind of future. What I'd like to share with you today is the process of bringing the
Yes.
grade crossing.
Volume up, please.
We need the volume up. Just one moment. We need the volume up just a little.
I agree.
Okay, we'll try this again. What
That's
I'd like
good.
to share with you today is the process for meeting new grade crossing regulations which came into force in 2014. Can you hear me okay now?
Yes, we can.
Excellent. So the grade crossing regulations came into force on November 27th, 2014, after much to and fro in the process. And the first thing that needs to happen is that, according to the regulations, is that all the road authorities and the railway companies have to share information on the grade crossings, as most good neighbors are expected to do. So in order to do the grade crossing, inventory grade crossing, which is actually in the blue box, we have to collect what's called grade crossing data. And typically that's done by the road authorities, such as the Village of Valemount. And then certain elements of that have to be shared with the railway company, who who are the people who, with which the, in this case would be Canadian National for the regular subdivision that travels through Valemount, and they maintain the grade crossing information, which is the yellow box, the orange box. Now that information has to be shared on November 27th, 2016. So you still have 4 or 5 months to gather that information. And it's relatively simple. I've already shared it with Macneill, process and the data that has to be collected. After that, next step in the process is to assess the grade crossings. And in order to do that, you need to do what's complete. You need to complete what's called a grade crossing assessment. That allows you to develop, prioritize, and cost mitigation measures for each crossing. And what that will allow you to do is identify any non-compliant issues, mitigation measures to make the crossing comply with the new requirements, and allows you to prioritize which issues you're going to address first. It also identifies who's responsible for what, because some of the items are the responsibility of the railway company, and others are the responsibility of the roadway authority, in other words, Village of Valemount. And it also allows you to develop some cost estimates so that you can do some capital development implementation plan, which is the next step. So the implementation plan, you can do something called the grade crossing implementation system. Allows you to develop a capital improvement program so that you can then implement mitigation measures. And we have until November 27th, 2021 to implement the mitigation measures so that the grade crossings meet the requirements by that date. So that's another 5.5 years from now. So that summarizes the process for meeting the grade crossing regulations, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you very much. Mr. Van Wilderen, am I pronouncing that correctly?
Perfect.
Good, thank you so much. Council, any questions? What about Mr. Macneill?
Well, I was wondering if the floor had any questions, if the community had any questions.
No, I'm sorry, that's
not.
No, they're not part
procedure.
of the meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I've had opportunity to discuss this flow chart with Flores, and the significance of it, if I understand it correctly, and Flores, if you can hear me, correct me if I'm wrong, but the onus has shifted from 2014 to currently under the changes of the Act, so that the reporting emphasis is now on the local authority, which would be the Village of Valemount. And we have to, as you walk through the process, we actually have to gather information, basic information, which I think Silvio is working on with you. It's not onerous, and that has to be submitted by November of this year.
That's correct.
Then beyond that, if we, it's recommended, or at least on this chart, you see things such as assessing the grade crossings and grade crossing assessments. And we've been looking at the fact that there is a grade crossings improvement program out there where funding is available. For instance, if we want to upgrade and get safety arms on the road, if per the grade crossing assessment application, and from the interest of the community, that is something that wants to go forward, that can be addressed within this grade crossing assessment.
That is correct.
So with that in hand, the grade crossing improvements funding program through Transport Canada has an August 1st deadline every year, and it takes, once the application goes in, it takes 2 years. Like for instance, if we manage somehow to make August 1st of this year, which is 2016, the eligibility for the funding would be 2 years later. Is that correct? That's what
I'm not certain about that. That sounds, it usually takes that long to get the railway on board as well. Because like you mentioned before, it's a joint effort between the railway company and the road authority, and most of the changes that have to be done, for instance, the installation of gates, that'll be done by railway company forces, and they need to plan and so forth, and that usually takes about 2 years to get that into play. So,
for the village, if we wanted to contemplate or consider doing a grade application and a crossing improvement application for this year, for August 1st, then some sort of report or review has to accompany the application. Would you? Is that this grade crossing assessment, or is it something smaller?
That would be the grade crossing assessment.
And what, do you know the standard of what that usually costs or entails?
That would cost, depending upon the, if we do, say, 2 at once, we could probably do it for $10,000 to $15,000.
In total?
Total.
So that's, given that we have 2 primary crossings in the community, that would be for both.
That's right.
Now, I understood from Transport Canada, and they actually encouraged it because it helps their financing, that you can submit each crossing as a separate application, and that in the end, you could, for instance, schedule work in March under one fiscal year, and then April 1st, the other one could be done, and that you could split the funding requirements over 2 years that way. So, in that case, who's ever handling the application would do the work jointly under 10 to 15,000, doing both crossings in the review on the grade crossing assessment, but then would split it into 2 applications. Would that wouldn't affect your fee any, would it?
So the output of the grade crossing assessment would be 2 separate reports, which could be attached to 2 separate applications.
Okay. So is that something you, if the community and the council, and I see one of the councillors has a question here, but if we got consensus to go ahead and proceed with that this year, is that something you could complete this year, before August 1st?
Absolutely.
Oh,
Okay. What,
yes.
did you, Hollie?
Just double check that
Yes,
it's on
yeah,
first?
it is.
And Councillor Torgerson has a question for you.
Thank you. These grade crossing assessments, are they in need of conducting on an annual basis, or until the road jurisdiction changes? For example, if we explode overnight and have a need to change one of the grade crossings to a 4-lane roadway, then a reassessment would have to be made?
A reassessment would not necessarily have to be made, but you'd have to advise the railway company about the changes to the crossing, and also what may result as well as if you widen the crossing to 4 lanes, for instance, then a certain different, a number of different requirements and standards come into force.
Okay.
It is right now, the requirements that are, a lot of the issues that grade crossings are grandfathered. For instance, you only have to meet the sightline requirements. You may not necessarily have to put in gates to meet the certain requirements. However, if you were to widen the road and suddenly you would be considered a new grade crossing, you'd have to meet all the new grade crossing standards, which are a lot more onerous.
Thank you.
I have 2
Do
other.
you have 2 more questions from Mr. Macneill? Thank you.
I just wanted to go over, for the sake of the council here, in our discussions, you had an experience, because you've done many of these and came recommended, your firm, with the costs typically associated with the crossings. And at first, the figure seemed to keep coming down. Anyway, most recent estimates have been in the range of first 450, but as low as 300 per crossing, meaning 1,000. Is that correct?
That's correct. If you want to add gates to crossing, it ranges in a order of magnitude of $210,000 to $300,000. So the balancing improvements would be minor improvements, signage, pavement markings, interior sight lines, in other words, vegetation and so forth, and bring the grade crossing into compliance.
Okay, and the final question of relevance is that I assume you've likely done these grade crossing assessments for other clients, and I'm just wondering, have you, is there, from a budget point of view, is there somewhere we can get, is there funding available to assist with the grade crossing assessment?
I believe that there's some provincial funding under an asset management program, and I can forward out the link to you, because it's basically what you're doing, you're doing asset management, so you can make a grant application for asset management assistance.
And would that be, like the 10 to 15,000 you quoted, would that include making an application to that fund as part of it? I'm pushing, yeah. That's okay. I want to thank you.
Yeah.
Any?
Yeah.
Sorry, Your Worship.
Mr. Brennan?
Sorry, just one point. You said a provincial funding, but this is not our asset. Is that a problem? This is not our asset. This is not our road. This is a rail crossing.
Actually, I beg to differ on that because what Transport Canada has said is the grade crossing is a shared, the maintenance and operation of the grade crossing is shared between the railway company and the road authority.
Okay.
So you have joint responsibility on it, so
Yeah.
you can say that half of it is yours.
Yes.
However much is based upon the grade crossing agreement that's in place between the Village of Valemount and CN Rail, which identifies the cost sharing arrangements.
If there are no further questions from council or Mr. Macneill or Mr. Brennan, I want to thank you very much, Mr. Van Wilderen. Thank you for taking the time to give us this information. And when I look at the process for meeting the grade crossing regulations, all I can hear is people saying, there's a train going about every 24 minutes or every half an hour, and we would like to have one of those arms that comes down so that we don't have to listen to the whistles. So at least this is a first or second step towards accommodating some of our, the concerns of our citizens. And I want to thank you very much for taking the time to present this to us this evening.
Well, I look forward to helping you get some whistle cessation in your community.
Thank you very much.
Have a great night.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay, so I would like a motion to receive that for information at this time, Blanchette and Salt. Is there any discussion or any questions? Councillor Torgerson.
I think the provincial funding avenue that was referenced was the UBCM asset management. I think it maxes out at 10,000.
Okay. Okay. So, Mr. Macneill, this will be looked into further and bring council up to date with some more information. Okay? Anything further? Hearing none, all in favor of receipt? Carried. And we have agenda item 8.2, or 6.2, sorry. It's not on here, but this is the added agenda, correspondence for action, and
4.2, Your Worship. Any other delegation?
Yeah.
it's not on here.
Down to the back of
Very
it.
top.
Very top, Max FX. That would be this
Oh,
one.
okay, I see it. Okay. All right, so agenda item 4.2, we have Max FX Developers, and they are here as a delegation to address council. So, welcome.
Thank you. This was, I was asked to attend on behalf of Blake Larson. And thank you for accepting us. What we are planning on doing is putting in a service station on the corner of 5th. And I think you have the drawings in front of you. I hope that
Yes.
take a look at them. The proposal is for a gas bar and a convenience store with the Tim Hortons. Okay, the gas bar, the gas bar will be 3 dispensers, all currently up to the current codes. Also with EMV and PIN technology, so there's pay at the pump and pay inside. They will dispense 3 different types of fuels and 1 diesel, and each pump will be able to do that. The gas bar will be covered by a canopy, and the canopy will be lit by LED lighting. Okay, currently the site proposal, we have a proposal for 26 parking spaces on the site, which should be sufficient for people that are parking in the area coming through. Secondly, the store is going to be roughly, as I mentioned, 3,600 square feet, and that'll be divided between 2,500 square feet for the C-store and 1,200 square feet for the Tim Hortons. The theme of the buildings is basically Western and rural, so it'll be cultured stone on the bottom with hardy board plank above with a slope ceiling. Most of the slope ceiling, slope roof. The roofs in this area are basically, a lot of them are metal clad, so this one we'll try and match that as best possible. The entranceway to the store will be canopy covered with a couple of cedar columns. Inside the store, it'll be a full convenience store on the one side and the Tim Hortons on the other side. There's seating for roughly 12 to 14 people on the inside, and there's also seating in the exterior in the patio area on the Tim Hortons side and also on the Seesaw side. The lot will be totally paved and totally landscaped. And basically, that is my presentation for now. And if you have any questions, I'd gladly love to hear them.
Thank you, Mr. Palumbi. Am I pronouncing your name correctly?
That's correct.
That's correct. Okay. And council, it's open for questions or comments.
I'm just wondering the timeline.
Oh, what is your timeline?
Well, if you approve, we want to be in the ground within 3 weeks.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. Miss, yes.
Blake, I mentioned to Blake the garbage receptacles.
Yes.
And he was going to amend the plans, but
Yes.
I don't see a change here. Has it been changed?
It has been changed. It's changed as you had mentioned, so
The
that
orientation?
the orientation's 90 degrees.
And that's reflected in these new plans?
No, it's not. Unfortunately,
Oh,
I don't
okay.
have the new plans. This was the old set of plans.
Okay, I understand. Okay, so we will need those final plans to go with the permit.
Okay.
That's fine. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Palumbi.
Thank you very
So
kindly.
councillors, you have no questions?
It's
Councillor
exciting,
Blanchette?
and I didn't think it would happen in 3 weeks, so that's great. I'm looking forward to seeing this.
Well, just so you know, we've been working on this one for a long time, so
Yes.
most of the drawings are basically already in the process of being completed, so.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Palumbi, for coming this evening and bringing us these plans, and we'll see where we go from here. Okay, thank you. I would like a motion to receive, please. Okay, Blanchette and Salt. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Carried. Okay, now we go on to 6.1. Valemount Museum, request for waiving of fees and cake donation. What is council's wish? Councillor Torgerson?
I move that council considers waiving the fee, the rental for the tent, and that we also consider donating a large cake to the event.
Okay, thank you. Seconder? Seconded by Councillor Blanchette. And I've attended over the years, and usually there are around 200 people there, from great-grandparents to children. Okay. If there are no comments or discussion, all in favor? Carried. 6.2, we have a letter from Mr. Les Damon, Royal Canadian Legion. And during Legion Week, they are hoping that the Village of Valemount would fly the Royal Canadian Legion flag during the dates. And that's from Les Damon, past president, and Mr. Jamin, president, current, or vice president, sorry. Okay, so what is council's wish? Motion to receive, I guess, for discussion. Councillor Blanchette and Councillor Torgerson. Any questions?
I just haven't read it yet, sorry.
Okay. Yes?
The village has flown the flag before during Legion Week. So
No
it's-
objections.
It's not really like we're doing any proclamation or anything. We're
Yeah.
just supporting Legion Week by
That's
flying the
right.
flag. So
Okay.
I vote to support flying
Okay.
the flag during Legion Week.
Okay. Okay, so moved by Councillor Salt and seconded by Councillor Blanchette that the Royal Canadian Legion flag be flown during their week. Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Carried. There's a reading file. There's no motion required, but if council wishes to bring anything forward. Yes, Councillor Salt.
I'd like to also thank staff for their prompt attention to assisting VCTV with their power outage. I should have acted myself when I saw the dead crow laying at the bottom of the power pole. I wasn't sure if that it hit a transformer or not. So thank you, VCTV, for alerting our staff and acknowledging and recognizing their prompt attention even on their days off. So thank you to them for that.
Good. And I should also like to suggest to the Chief Administrative Officer that a note be put in the Public Works Superintendent's file for that quick response within 5 minutes. I think that was, whenever a staff person is complimented, I think that it should be passed on to them. So thank you. Administrative reports. We have Max Properties proposed development permit for SO Tim Hortons. Recommendation that council authorizes staff to prepare development permit 0116 for the property legally described as Lot 28, District Lots 5708 and 7354, Caribou District Plan 16593, to allow the construction of a gas station, convenience store, and restaurant drive-through in accordance with the plans submitted, approved and attached hereto, subject to the proponent providing sufficient security to ensure the installation of the landscaping as contained in the approved plans. Motion, please. Okay, Torgerson and Blanchette. Now, at this time, I'm advised by... Yes?
I'd like to modify the recommendation.
Okay.
That council authorizes staff, based on the delegation, that the proponent would forward new plans.
That one is amended. Yes.
Amended.
Yeah.
I'd be comfortable with that.
Okay.
And then I have questions when it's open to the floor.
Okay. So moved by Councillor Torgerson and it was seconded by Councillor Blanchette, and it's open for discussion. Councillor Torgerson.
Has the proponent submitted a recent traffic study?
No, but a traffic study was done several years ago as part of planning for that area.
Okay.
So, so the short answer is no, it wasn't really required because this level of traffic was anticipated when this was basically zoned and designated for this kind of use.
Okay.
So, so from staff's opinion, a new traffic study was not warranted.
Okay.
And Councillor Torgerson, it's usually the Ministry of Highways that requires the traffic studies.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Brennan advises that if there's anyone present who has property adjacent to this one, yes?
Sorry, that's not this item.
It's not this item?
That's later on.
Okay, you'll give me a nudge.
I'll give you a nudge, yes.
Okay, good, all right. So is there any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor? Carried. 8.2, 1075 8th Avenue, hazard trees, that council authorizes staff to deliver a notice to the property owner and each holder of a registered charge via registered mail, which states that all hazard trees as noted in the June 1st, 2016 bylaw contravention completed by the bylaw services officer must be removed no later than June 30th, 2016, etc. What is council's wish? Blanchette and Salt. Okay, is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Carried. Agenda item 8.3, proposed development for 1418 Bruce Place. Recommendation that council issues development 0216 to Ms. St. Jean for the property located at 1418 Bruce Place to allow placement of a new sign, construction of a new awning and fascia, siding work provided the sign is moved back to the required 1.5 meters from the front lot line. I believe that's about 12 inches.
Yes, and I should comment that I've spoken to the owner and they have no problems moving it back.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. What is council's wish? Councillor Torgerson and Salt. Okay. Moved to the recommendation? Okay. Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor? Carried. Agenda item 8.4, proposed development variance permit for 1080 Juniper Street. Recommendation that council authorizes staff to issue development variance permit 0216 for the property located at 1080 Juniper Street. What is council's wish? This is the one?
Yes.
Okay, so we need a motion first. Okay, Blanchette and Salt. Okay, so you go ahead and you ask the question.
Yes, given that it's a development variance permit, notices have gone out to the adjacent property owners, but it is legally recommended, and it's good practice, that at this point, before council makes a decision, that the public be allowed one last chance to speak if they are adjacent property owners and if their property is directly affected.
Okay.
So it's sort of an open chance for somebody to speak if they wish at this
Okay.
point.
So is there anyone present with the property adjacent to 1080 Juniper Street? Yes.
In this case,
You aren't.
Yes?
we are the applicant and we're also the adjacent property.
Okay.
You're opposed?
So you can speak for yourself in that case.
Well, I guess he's speaking for me and myself and I. Okay. All right, so
And I should comment that there's been no correspondence received.
no correspondence.
No.
Okay, that's good. All right. Council, do you have any questions or are you ready for the question?
Ready for that question.
All in favor? Carried. Okay. 8.5, Accounts Payable Report, May 2016. Recommendation that council accepts the May 2016 Accounts Payable Report for information. Salt and Torgerson. Are there any questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor? Carried. 8.6, Tax Rate-Off Request. Recommendation that the Minister of Community, Sport and Cultural Development be requested to issue an order pursuant to Section 315(3) of the Local Government Act to provide authority to the Council of the Village of Valemount for the write-off of property taxes receivable for the following properties which are deemed uncollectible. What is council's wish? Councillor Torgerson and Councillor Blanchette, you move the recommendation. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor? Carried. 8.7, Green Municipal Fund Application. Recommendation that council resolves to support an application to the FCM for the proposed geothermal industrial park. Motion, please. Torgerson and Salt. And any questions? Yes? No? No? Councillor Salt?
Will we have a little more information as to what all this application is going to be applied towards? A little more detailed plan?
We have Mr. Gislimberti here, Economic Development Officer. Can you answer Councillor Salt's question, please?
Could you repeat the question, please?
Just a little more detail as far as what the plan for this funding, should we be successful in receiving it, will go towards.
In fact, this is really starting the whole application process, so I do not have any details. And in fact, I want to know from council if we should try. The only thing that I can tell you right now, that the Green Municipal Fund, if successful, there is a component, that's a grant component, up to $1 million, and there's also a loan component. And in order to really find out how all the different components work and what the different requirements are, we have to probably start with the process, and then I could give you more details. What I can say, and probably that could be important for you, I can bring more information and details back to your next council meeting for the June 28th. Right now, I do not have any.
So this is just to start the process? So
Yes,
Yes, this is just to support
that's
an
why
application.
I do not have any
Yes.
details or nothing.
Yeah.
It's
Yes.
just
Okay.
So that you are aware that staff will be working in that direction.
Yeah. Yes, this is just to support an application, okay? Are there any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor? Carried. Agenda item 8.8, recommendation, this is museum restorations, that council approves the Historic Society to proceed with restorations to the museum building, and 2, approves matching funds in the amount of $5,000 to be committed for the purpose of museum. Is it restorations or repairs?
Repairs.
Repairs? Okay, thank you. I felt that restoration was the, okay. So, motion please. Councillor Torgerson and Councillor Blanchette. Okay, any questions? Councillor Salt.
So I just want to confirm that the matching funds we're approving are the $5,000 that we put in the budget.
That's correct.
And not an additional $5,000.
That's
I just want to, hopefully they won't need any minor repairs, but we haven't really defined what minor repairs are,
Okay.
because there wouldn't be anything left in the budget this year for any other minor repairs at the museum. So
I think they're more concerned with repairs that have been neglected for several years. Yes. Did you have something you wanted to add, Mr. Macneill? Because I saw you looking over this way.
No.
No? Okay. Okay, I thought it was...
Don't go to my
I thought that
Thank you,
perhaps
Will.
it was just an optical nudge. Okay, thank you. Any further comments or questions? Hearing none. All in favor? Carried. Agenda item 8.9, telephone system purchase. Recommendation that council approve staff to sole purpose the purchase of a telephone system from the company Go Telecommunications, or council request staff to proceed with an RFT for the purchase of a telephone system. What is council's wish? Councillor Salt and Torgerson. Okay.
bullet number 1 is what I'm moving. Council approves staff to sole source the purchase of a telephone system
Yes.
from the company Go Telecommunications.
I'll second that.
And Councillor Torgerson seconds it. And are there any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor? Carried. Agenda item 9.1, monthly staff report for May 2016. Recommendation that council accepts the May 2016 staff report for information purposes. Councillor Blanchette and Councillor Salt. Any questions? Okay, any comments? Hearing none, all in favor? Carried. Council reports. We'll start alphabetically. That way I stay out of trouble. Councillor Blanchette.
Okay, the 30th, we had a meeting with Minister Bond, and we had the opening of the Boardwalk Trail. June 2nd was our CBT closing out meeting, where we dotted the I's and crossed the T's. June 6th was my children and youth mental health meeting, and I wanted to point out that right now, in combination with the RCMP and with the committee, the RCMP are doing positive ticketing. So when we see the kids out on the bikes and they've got their helmets and they're obeying all the rules, the RCMP will give them a positive ticket. They take that ticket to Petro Canada and enter for a free bike, which was purchased through Home Hardware. So I just want to encourage parents to do proper ticketing too. So it's a good program for the kids. And then today we had a great meeting with Miles Bruns from the Ministry of Jobs, Tourism and Skills Training. And it's always great to have him come and fill us in on all the good news. That's it.
I see him hiding in the back row there. Okay. Councillor Salt.
I had the same on the 30th with Minister Bond for the Boardwalk grand opening. It was a beautiful day that day, so it was nice to see the views that you get from the Boardwalk. On the 3rd, Valemount Children's Activity Society celebrated their 35th anniversary as a society serving the community, and we had a really great turnout and a really good time. A lot of fun held by families and even members of the community that don't even have children at the centre came out, so it was really nice. The 7th, I had a Valemount Children's Activity Society board meeting, and today we met with Miles Bruns from Jobs, Tourism and Skill Training.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Torgerson.
First part of it, very similar to other members of council. On the 30th, meeting with Minister Bond and attended the grand opening of the Boardwalk Trail. Following day, I had a Public Works and Traffic Committee meeting, as well as a special meeting of council. The 2nd of June, I had a direct heat use committee meeting. I'd like to thank Ms. Rondi Anderson for taking on the role of interim chair. I think that's a role that will reflect well in her skill set. On the 6th, from a recommendation of Mr. Bruns, I watched a pre-recorded webinar in emergency management. This one was in challenges and successes in rural BC. And then later that afternoon, I had a Valemount Community Forest Board meeting. The following day, I had both a Tourism Valemount and Varda Board meeting. This morning, I participated in a webinar building sustainable success in local government. And I just want to a huge thank you to Mr. Brennan, Councillor Salt, Donnie McLean, as we encroach upon July 15th. We're having a half-day meeting in Emergency Management Committee with contributions from over 27 attendees, including TELUS, Jobs, Tourism Skills Training, Emergency Management BC, School District 57, BC Hydro, the Valemount Fire and Rescue Department, British Columbia Ambulance Service, the Valemount Health Centre, Northern Health, Public Works staff, Royal Canadian Mounted Police, Canadian National Railway, Regional District Fraser Fort George, Robson Valley Search and Rescue, Robson Valley Support Society, Ministry of Transportation and Infrastructure, Lake Districts Maintenance, and the Ministry of Forest Lands, Natural Resources Operations, Wildfire Protection Branch, as well as village office staff.
Okay.
Can I add one more? And emergency social services, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Torgerson, and we'll probably have a full report on attendees and what was learned.
Oh,
It's
absolutely.
gonna
Thank
be
you very
a good
much.
day.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail. I attended the same meetings as all of you did, and I'm just going to say that I met with Minister Bond and TELUS executive last week in Prince George. I was there for the Ominika Beetle Action Coalition board meeting, and we had an excellent presentation from the Assistant Deputy Minister of the Ministry of Forests, and he provided us with a lot of information that I shall relay to Craig Pryor, the manager of Valemount Community Forest. And we also had a meeting with the Prince George Advisory, or on that Prince George Advisory Council, and we had a meeting at the NDIT office as well. So it's been a busy time. Thank you. I'll take a motion, please, that council receives the verbal reports. All in favor? Carried. Oh, we didn't have a mover and a seconder, did we? Blanchette and Salt, yeah. And they're all in favor. Okay. So, new business, none. And we have list 13.1 of outstanding council resolutions. Staff recommendation that council accepts the list of outstanding previous council resolutions. Okay, Salt and Blanchette. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor? Carried. And agenda item 15.1, this is when we open up the floor for public comment on items considered by council as part of the approved agenda this evening. Councillor, Mr. James.
Eugene Jamin of 1350 3rd Avenue. The request from the Legion was put in. There are two requests in that particular letter. One was the flying of the flag, which was approved. The other was that the Legion Week be recognized in the village of Valemount. That was the second part of that request.
Okay, Mr. Jamin, there was a resolution passed some years ago that no proclamations are made.
Okay.
Okay? That's why the flag was considered.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Is there any further, yes?
Can I make a question, a clarification?
Yes?
I'm Tom Jamin of 1080 Juniper Street. In the agenda item about the museum repairs. In the past, the repairs have been the responsibility of the village. And the wording, it makes it appear that the responsibility or the management of it is now transferring over to the Historic Society. Is that true?
It shouldn't be. No, so the building belongs to the Village of Valemount, and it is the responsibility of the Village of Valemount to...
And the management of that will be retained by the village.
That's correct.
Good.
Okay, thank you. Thanks. Yes?
Paul Johnson, 1123 9th Avenue. Regarding the railway crossings, if you are successful getting gates, just realize that that's not an automatic no whistle. You still have to apply to probably CN and Transport Canada to get that done.
Okay.
And there's a lot more equipment involved, so your monthly fees for those crossings will most likely go up too.
Okay. Can I? Yes, Mr. Macneill.
The feedback was that actually they don't want whistle cessation as the purpose of the application. The purpose is for safety and risk. In fact, the railroad prefers a whistle.
Yes,
The community may not.
As soon as those crossing gates are in, trust me, people are going to want to know why the trains are still whistling.
Well, then once that's the step. Once the gates are in, the engineer has explained to me that we will meet the technology at that point in time, and then you can subsequently apply for whistle cessation. And I think the mayor referred to it as a stepped process.
Yeah.
That's the first step.
Yeah. Thank you for the information, though. Okay. Thank you. Okay, anything further? Okay. Motion to receive, please. Okay, Blanchette and Salt, all in favor? Carried. And we'll take a motion now to proceed in camera. That council proceed to an in-camera council meeting for consideration of 3 items per section 91C and J and K of the community charter to discuss matters related to the following: labor relations, information that is prohibited or information that if it were presented in a document would be prohibited, and negotiations and related discussions respecting the proposed provision of a municipal service. Okay. Salt and Torgerson. All in favor? Carried. Thank you, council.